nuts and stop trying to match this stuff with them. So again, you're going to lose every fucking little point that you take in Edmund or Goat or whoever the fuck you really are. And I get that you want to sound like you're the
I'm crying, you stupid ass. You stupid motherfucker. I'm crying.
stupid. Why?
Brady's streaming.
Okay, hey, I have a question. Do we think that Point is Goat or Edmund?
It's Edmund.
I think Goat.
Edmund.
Yeah. Well, the voice sounds more like Goat.
It's not me. I'm sitting here in my office.
Voice on several different profiles. It's Edmund.
So we know
I'm
it's
in a
Edmund?
bunker in Kitover.
One in the chat if we think it's Edmund. Edmund.
What if Edmund and Goat are the same person?
Well, actually, Edmund is John Kitover, who's running for Congress. So, who's actually revealed quite a bit of his own personal information, which I thought was interesting.
Yes, let's see. He lives in the Chicago area. He claims, and I believe him, to have act as a consultant, probably some type of former employee with the federal government, I think the IRS. And he's got a gazillion different profiles and streams multiple rooms, and also has the Clubhouse Plus account as an Anon. I think he was in here earlier. He was the Anon, but obviously he wanted to come on as that Point. But that's Kitover, no question.
Well, there you go, John Kitover.
That is not me.
I don't know how his campaign posters would be with him doing yoga in his fucking Fruit of the Loom underwears that were stained and going upside down like that. Just doesn't. Yeah, no, he's not gonna win.
And if anybody doubts what we're saying, just go on to Google and look up John Kitover, Illinois. You can also put in Edmund or whatever, but he's got multiple sites on Google. John Kitover, Google that.
What's he running for?
Congress.
Oh boy.
To be fair though, I mean, got a lot of crazy in Congress right now. It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, I know. I mean, look at New York. Anything can happen.
Anything can and will.
Yeah, I love the New York City mayor debate. A lot of the people that are progressives are like, look at socialism is going to work. Look at all the promises. He's going to mandate a $30 minimum wage. Can't do that in New York City. He's going to do rent stabilization. Here's a flash thing. Rent stabilization was already occurring. He's not going to do it more to actually limit more development of homes. So that's going to be a loss, and you're going to lose investments there. What else was?
Free subway, free buses.
Free subway and free buses, which, if you should look at the financial numbers of that transportation system and see the cost overruns that are actually occurring with the maintenance as well as the development, that's going to be, I got to figure it out.
I don't think he has jurisdiction on that, right? Does he have jurisdiction? Because isn't that Kathy Hochul that has jurisdiction over that?
Yeah.
Transportation.
Here's another one. State-run grocery stores. So you want this idiot, like somehow from New York City as a mayor, that he's going to be able to institute, quote, state-run grocery stores. Somehow remove all that. You let me know how that works out for you in New York City, because for those of us that are a little bit older, I remember the 80s and 90s in New York City. I remember all of that shit. You remember de Blasio? How quickly we forgot about his socialist, like, fucking virtue signaling and how much money he built off the top. And this guy comes in and says, we're going to do all this, and yet has no authority, no power, absolutely nothing to implement any of these things. And somehow he thinks it's going to be there. There's money and revenue going to come from to help maintain fucking, I don't know, the subways and buses. You're going to, how are they going to fix it?
You're forgetting the biggest one, Brad. Defund the police.
Oh, yeah. We're going to spend untrained social workers to handle crimes in New York City. How did that police movement work during BLM and the COVID pandemic? How did all that shit work out? Because I recall a whole bunch or in the 80s and 90s when cops weren't fucking actually cracking down on people. How did that work out for the citizens, the people that were, middle income or lower? They couldn't fucking get police in their areas to stop the violence. How did that work out for you in the past? So you believe this twit who's been in the country, 6 years, all of a sudden has the magical answer to run a major city, and somehow people are going to gravitate towards this? You want to destroy New York City? Go ahead. That's why all of a sudden on the news this morning, all of those investment firms, a lot of market areas in Wall Street, were already signing agreements to come to Dallas, Texas. Like, you're going to drive out absolutely everything that made New York there. If it doesn't have the financial markets, the fashion market will leave. The rest of it will just be, I don't know, give me a city that's really, it'll be St. Louis. Like, do you want New York City to be St. Louis? I don't think so. Nobody wants that shit.
Well, how could you go there as a tourist and feel safe if you don't have police around, or if something happens and have that insecurity that you won't have, active NYPD around you? That's a scary thought, what it'll do to the tourism business.
Well, even the business aspect, how many of those high income earners would leave than the actual city, right? Commercial real estate would go down, also residential real estate on that high price point would also be a detriment too. It would kill them.
And here's the other part, state-run grocery stores. I want you to think about that. Like, Nixon tried to do price controls, and to be fair to Carter, he shouldn't be blamed for all the economic crisis under his terms. But Nixon tried this shit. It was stupid. It didn't work. It backfired. Long-term, short-term, it caused massive economic depressions across large swaths. If you put state-run grocery stores in there, and you're going to maintain that, and you lose your Kroger's, your Wegmans, say goodbye to absolutely everything. People didn't like government cheese when I was a fucking kid. I sure as hell don't want to see it being fed to me in a grocery store that's mandated by the federal government, who's going to determine what race, or not even whatever twat waffle Hochul is, who's done nothing more in her entire career than just put her legs behind her ears and just allowed herself to play. But I mean, Jesus, you want those people? You want AOC? You want people like that to determine what foods are in there? They're not going to do a good job. New York City under Hochul can't manage itself. De Blasio couldn't manage it. I hate to tell you this, but you should have stuck with Cuomo. You should have went with that guy. At least he has somewhat of a brain. He's fucking retarded, but fuck. You guys are...
Someone just put in the chat that it works in Pennsylvania with the state-run liquor stores. Having lived, my whole life growing up there, Pennsylvanians go to New Jersey, and the most successful total wine store in the country is at the border of Delaware and Pennsylvania, where the Philadelphians go. The state stores are a shit show, and they always have been. And I mean, it's just remarkable how that can screw up an industry. So,
the state of Oregon controls all the liquor stores. You buy wine and beer in the market, but to get spirits, you have to go to a liquor store, and it's all controlled by the state. I think the same thing maybe in the state of Washington, but I'm not certain. Definitely.
Same with Utah.
you should see the revenue in Camden and Cherry Hill and in Wilmington of liquor and everyone crossing over. They used to look at your car when you would cross over the Walt Whitman or the Ben Franklin Bridge to see if you had booze in it. But I think those days are over. People are just buying their booze in another state.
It's the same thing for everybody who lived near the New York, or even was a few hours away. They just drove into New York, even on from Erie, etc. They would just go up and buy their booze there and come back down. I mean, all this state-run stuff you think is great. If it's so great, why isn't it fucking raking in money? Why do they operate at a loss? Why are they having to be subsidized? If you have a Total Wine that far exceeds the model, and then you have state-run ones that operate in the red, tell me where is the greatness out of that? Tell me what was so great about that implementation that it fucking magically controlled things. it doesn't. And your grocery, good luck. You fight over those apples and oranges. And the last person to leave New York, make sure they turn off the lights so we don't have to pay the electric.
What else was he going to implement? There's still more stuff.
Yeah, the defund the police is crazy. I want to tell you guys this. New York City is probably one of the best trained police forces in the United States, especially for their counterterrorism. And when they're not constrained, I'm not saying there aren't fucking morons in the police department that are bad. That happens in every profession, not discounting some of the injustice New York City has been plagued with in terms of its police. But overall, the New York cops are probably one of the best trained police forces in the entire nation. They go through a lot of certification, they control a lot of areas, and they respond as first responders. Responding in a city of that magnitude is a fucking challenge, and they do it. And you're going to defund them? I don't understand where people's heads are at when they start saying this stuff, and then you thinking fucking Dunkin' Donuts, Starbucks sipping latte princess that weighs 300 pounds and wants to be a social worker for her life because she's noble and with her pink hair is going to walk into a hostage situation or a crime. What are they going to do? Ask the fucking murderer, like, how are you feeling at this moment? What's going through your head? You think somehow or another that's going to work. And oh, by the way, a lot of those crimes, regardless of how you feel, which demographic, whatever it is, the police have a hard enough time curtailing that. You can look on this on social media. Thank God for cell phones. You can watch it. How about the fucking individual, poor girl that was raped on the subway platform? How about, what was the other one? The shooter that existed in New York City. Like, everybody's outraged when those events happen, and the first question you ask for is, where's the police? Now you want to limit them? What are you going to do? Send a social worker in there? What are they going to do? How are they going to be able to take somebody out? Please. Well, were they going to shake their Tim Hortons coffee cup and say, here you go? Like, have a good time, we're just going to sit down and chat?
I could keep going on him. Let's see, it's the largest Jewish community outside of Israel. And he's claiming he's going to arrest the Prime Minister of Israel, who has diplomatic immunity, by the way, coming into the UN, just like every other world leader does. And he's going to arrest under something that the United States is not even a party to. I mean, it's pretty astonishing, the stuff out of his mouth.
Well, what's even crazier, Abby, is how the fuck did we get here that we would actually vote as a primary candidate a socialist, right? Like, that has zero experience other than being, what is he, a city council member? Never ran a successful business, has no idea how to do like big P&L.
Do you realize what a gift it is?
It is, if it's not stolen.
No, it's a huge gift. It's listen, for ages, the Democratic Party would stand on stages and tell you, when you call them a socialist, they'll say, oh, no, that's not true. They would even self-identify as capitalists. And so now what you're going to have to do is you have somebody self-identifying as a socialist that represents the Democratic Party, and is the party going to really back him? Yes or no? And then if they do, then they can't distance themselves from it. This is like, I don't know why any Republican would look at that. I mean, maybe if you lived in New York City, you would look at it and go, God damn, we can't have a socialist running. What if he wins? I can understand the fear if you lived in New York City. If you live in any other city in America, you should be excited. You should actually hope that the Democrats put their full muscle behind it, so then they can't run from the label.
So, Roger, yeah, politically, strategically, this would make sense, what you're saying. But as someone who was born in New York and lived there, grew up there, I feel bad for New Yorkers. Like, everyone thinks that just New York City. New York City is the head of all of New York. What impacts it is going to affect so many people in the region, and the people that currently live in New York City. Like, all of these individuals who get up day to day I don't want to watch videos of nurses who are trying to get to Presbyterian Hospital getting raped on subway platforms. That's not the news I want to wake up to for this, because I'm going to get angry for that girl. I'm going to ask, why the fuck is nobody doing it? I'm not looking at Times Square again becoming a seatbed of fucking brothel strippers and fucking muggers and rapists again. Like, we went through that in the 80s and 90s. Like, we literally had that shit. No one went to New York City to go see Times Square because it was basically a porn-filled fucking, you were gonna get robbed. It was one of the worst cities in the fucking country, and you were lucky to make it out alive. I don't want to see that happen. Like, I don't want that to happen anywhere. I didn't want it to happen in LA. I don't care if it's ran by Democrats. I just don't want to see my Americans get hit with that. And then I don't want to be the one to say, I told you so. We did this experiment not once, but twice in my own fucking lifetime. And it wasn't good under de Blasio, who was screaming socialism and trying to